Okay, next we have PSATS, and we're going to get an update from the Director of Government Relations, Joe Gertz. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Gertz. I'm the Director of Government Relations at the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors. It's so nice to see everybody in person. Ernie was kind enough to hook me up virtually over the last 2 years. Some of you may recall Elam Herr. Elam was at PSATS in my position for 43 years. He retired in 2019. I started, and then the world stopped. So it's been an interesting to say the least. I have a PowerPoint presentation. With your indulgence, I'm going to skip right over it. Please don't get me in trouble with my boss. If he walks in, give me a heads up, Ernie. There is a copy of what I was going to go over. I'll try and encapsulate everything so we can get through here. And I know you have a business meeting and a dinner upcoming. PSATS, we're your member service organization. For those of you that do not know, there's a couple pieces of paper. I'm sorry I papered all the chairs here. We have a wonderful resource on our website. A lot of information. If you're not comfortable with websites, I've got a lot of it printed out on the table back there. Education and advocacy, that's what we do for you in Harrisburg. I have one piece of paper I left on your chair is some of our upcoming training. It's not only about our big conference in Hershey in April, which by the way is April 23rd to the 26th. And if you go, make plans, and if you did go, please come to my grassroots reception on Tuesday night. There's a lot of upcoming training. Some of it is regional. Next year, we just got done with a round of county conventions. We're going to be moving into the next election year doing boot camps for new officials. So a lot of the education and training that we're doing, it's not only about the conference in April. And if you have something in particular, there was a discussion earlier about CDL. If you need us to get folks to come and put on a particular class, we can work with our team to get that and make sure that happens. Another piece I left on your chair, quick digest form of what I was going to go over, what's going on at PSATS. I'm not going to go through what's happening in the legislature right now, other than to say the senator brought up, and what a great delegation both sides of the aisle Chester County sends to Harrisburg. That's my job, and my colleague George Bivens, you may recall the name. George was in senior leadership at the Pennsylvania State Police. He retired and has joined PSATS. Our job is to go up and interact with the House and Senate. In my time, and I did things a little backwards. I started in the governor's office. I ended up at the White House. Now I'm back at local government where it really works. But our job is to go around and to advocate for what you all come up with at these meetings. We don't make policy. I don't make policy. Dave Sanko, our executive director, doesn't make policy. You all make policy through the resolutions that you work on here at these conventions and send them to us in Harrisburg. They get voted on at our spring meeting in Hershey. That becomes my marching orders and what I can work on in Harrisburg. If you want to change the color of the state flag, that's not really our lane. Our lane is the second-class township code. That's what we need to do, and that's what we do. There's some of the things that we're working on, as the senator mentioned. The session, there's a few token days left. They're going to elect leadership next week, probably, in the Senate. The House, obviously, is undecided yet. That remains to be seen. We may not know for a little while. The job that George and I are going to have is we are going to have to knock on a lot of brand new doors. Even before the natural attrition of this election, and there was some attrition, there was over 46 House and Senate members that have either retired or have moved on to different positions. That's a lot of folks that we have to educate about townships of the second class. And we're going to be going and knocking on every door to make sure that they understand what the issues are that are out there. Jack mentioned the issue with employees. I can tell you this is not just a District 6 issue, it's an issue around the state in getting employees, not only for PennDOT, but for townships that are competing with high-wage jobs now that just a few years ago were not that high. The market has really driven that up, as well as the costs of doing business and buying aggregate, and we're hearing a lot of the issues. It's a statewide issue. The gentleman with the fire and EMS presentation, thank you. It is an issue. It's one we've been talking about for a while. And it is our responsibility in the second-class township code to provide fire and EMS services. As they said on the slide, it's not an easy solution, and one size doesn't fit all. And PSATS is engaged in those conversations. In fact, we host several of the meetings, yearly meetings of the SR6 Commission of what the folks that are involved in it to discuss and try and work on these issues and fix them. It's an ongoing discussion and one that's going to carry into the new session. There's a couple pieces of legislation that we wanted to try and get done that did not get done. Right to know fixes, commercial requesters, vexatious requesters, just to name a few. But that's what we're going to do. And again, our marching orders come from you all, and the resolutions that you set forth and that are voted on in spring, they stay on the books for 5 years. Everything's on our website. You can see what's up there, the updated resolutions, what we're working on, and what we're trying to work with Senator Committee and her colleagues to get done in the new session. A lot of new changes, a lot of new faces. Leadership in the Senate is going to change. Senator Corman is no longer the president pro tem. He's retired. We've lost 2 ranking appropriations chairs, one in the House and one in the Senate. That's a huge education shift there of trying to get somebody in those seats to make sure that the budget process goes through. In the House, both transportation chairs, one by attrition, election attrition, and one by retirement are gone. We're going to have 2 new transportation chairs. 3 years ago when I got this job, I would have told you the number one issue is going to be transportation. That hasn't changed. It's been delayed a little bit. Some of you may know that Dave Sanko, our executive director, sat on the Transportation Revenue Options Commission, the TROC. We haven't moved on that. The perfect political time to do that would be at the beginning of a new governor's administration and new members to do a tough vote early. I think that this administration, when he was at PSATS, Governor-elect said that he was going to be a transportation and an infrastructure governor, and we hope that's true, and we're going to be working with the legislature to make sure that local funding for roads is integral and that it stays in the funding mechanism, whatever that is. The gas tax is declining. It's not going to be what it was before. It's not going to go entirely away, I don't think. But we have to figure out how to have sustainable funding for our roads and bridges at the local level. Fire and EMS, again, I'm sorry, big issue. We're going to be working on that as well. A lot of the stuff that's going on at PSATS, one thing I want to draw your attention to, if you don't get our morning news, we wanted to stop bombarding everybody with emails that they just click and see PSATS. We're going to bypass it. We try and digest form. If you don't have it, you want to just contact us. We'll get you on the list. Make sure your email and your contact information is up to date so that we can get this stuff out to you. I think everybody's having issues. Snail mail is not always getting there on time. Emails getting caught up in filters because of security reasons and what have you. We're trying to do our best, which is why we have paper, more paper, electronic, and also our township news. If you don't get it, please subscribe. We try and keep you up to date on what's going on. As always, I'm in Harrisburg. I'm on the Hill. Let me know if there's something that's coming up. That's how you're our eyes and ears. And again, the resolution process is how we do what we do. I'd love to answer any questions either now or I'll be back at the table. But I want to hand the mic back and let you all continue with your evening. It's so nice to see you all in person. And I look forward to working with you all and hopefully seeing you all in Hershey in April. Thank you.